back to For the Love of Men podcast. My name's Courtney Shand, and I am hosting with my dear friend, Brianna Mosier.
Hello.
The intention of the show is to bring together men and women to create healthy, polarized connections by learning how... Yes, we have a juicy episode for you about polarity. By learning how to honor each other's natural, masculine, and feminine energetic core.
She's adjusting the recording equipment.
Yes. If you guys could see what this looks like behind the scenes, it's hilarious.
It's makeshift.
Yeah, but we make it work. Okay, cool. So before we dive in, Bree.
Yes.
This is absolutely a zone of genius for you.
Ooh.
Tell the people what you bring to the table when it comes to helping people create polarity in their relationships.
Yeah, this is a big part of what I do. My focus is in helping women open to their feminine energy, specifically really ambitious, driven women, helping them soften into their feminine, sometimes come forward in fierceness with their feminine, always in the lens of pleasure and intimacy and learning to receive more, both from their partner and in their business or career. So it gets really juicy. And again, my focus is around intimacy and sex, and so this is of the utmost importance, polarity, when it comes to intimacy. Mm-hmm. Courtney, tell the people briefly what you do.
Yeah. I am a relationship mentor. I help women really activate that masculine energy so that their feminine energy can come online. They can soften into that as well. I find this plays out in boundary conversations, in showing up in a very empowered way with what you want, being able to ask for that, which is again going to play into how polarized this relationship can be. How much individuation we can create is going to create that stickiness that allows men to see you for who you are and naturally be drawn to you.
The tension. Yeah. So when we talk about polarity, what do we mean? High level, what does it mean when we say polarity?
So polarity requires two opposite attraction poles. Magnetics, we think about it in terms of positive, negative. This is masculine and feminine for polarity in a interpersonal relationship, which means masculine energy being more of the leading, propulsive, thinking, doing action-oriented type of energy, and feminine energy being the receptive energy, the feelings, the emotions, the experience, the softness. So the opposites attract for a reason. So doesn't mean that one's better than another, but they both have to be present if we want to create healthy engagement where you feel magnetic or you feel drawn to someone.
And you probably, two things. The first thing is you probably have had this experience before and you call it chemistry or attraction, but you don't maybe have the language. Maybe you do already know this, but a lot of people, for me, I'll just say, when I first learned, I didn't have the language to describe what I was feeling when I felt chemistry or attraction. And I now know, I was recognizing a really strong masculine pull, and that is drawing me to this person, right? So when we say masculine, feminine, everyone has masculine and feminine energy. We have both. Courtney and I both have masculine and feminine energy. You'll typically have one that you feel is the most authentic to you. And as we always say, it's not about gender, it's not about sex, right? Sex is how you were born, gender is a social construct. We're talking about masculine and feminine energy. So it does not matter your gender expression or what you were born as. For Courtney and I, we both identify as the feminine pole, but we still have I love my masculine energy.
Yeah.
And it would actually be impossible for us to be in our empowered feminine energy if we didn't have our internal masculine energy online. So we could deep dive this. We're going to try to keep this episode quick, but I would recommend episodes 4 and 5 if you want to understand how to graduate from wounded feminine to empowered feminine or wounded masculine to empowered masculine. So we all have both energies. You typically have one pole that you identify more with, like 70-30, right? And your partner, if you want there to be chemistry and attraction and magnetism, will be holding the opposite pole. And then you devote, each of you, to the core that feels authentic to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say.
I love that you say that. And it doesn't mean that the other part of you just goes away. Like in relationship, my masculine energy is still present, even if it's 30%. That is my boundary setting. That's my ability to enforce my boundaries. That's my ability to remove myself if I need to. That's the ability to communicate in a way that gets us somewhere. So it's not like that goes away. For men, it doesn't mean that you're going to be in your feminine energy if you have masculine energy, that's just going to go away either. We really advocate for the integration of both, because we find that's where people are the healthiest to create polarity. What typically happens in polarity teaching is that it comes from a very wounded space. Yes, you can create attraction using attraction psychology strategies, but if you don't understand what's happening dimensionally, internally, and interpersonally, then you're actually going to be creating something based on your woundedness and someone else's woundedness. And it's never going to be a long-term, deepening, intimate relationship. It's going to lead to really unsatisfying experience relationally. We want to create healthy polarity, and there is a distinct difference. The way that I was taught, or that we were taught, was there's kind of this like lower level of, not lower level in to shame anyone, but like we all have wounds that we're working through, and when we heal those and integrate, we actually kind of raise the standard. So up here is where we're playing with clean boundaries. It's where we're using good emotional intelligence, healthy communication skills, not purposely triggering our partners, understanding our own trauma enough that we can bring all of that to the table and both of us rise to this new playing field. That's what is really juicy and is going to create a long-term, tense, healthy tension dynamic.
Yeah, and when she says tension, she means chemistry,
Yearning,
that magnetism.
Like,
yeah, the attraction.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So what would you say when you learned this? What was the biggest realization for you of how to identify, either for yourself or in another person, what's happening energetically?
I wish, I'm happy that we created this podcast, but I wish a resource like this was available to me before I learned the hard way. Because I'm going to give you 2 minutes that took me 4 years to have a learned experience and discern. How did I learn? I was with an amazing, healthy man who had more feminine energy, and there wasn't as much chemistry and attraction. And I couldn't figure out why it felt flat. Also, at the time, I was very much in my masculine. I was guarded, wounded, felt like I had to be like this success boss lady. I took on the episode we did on the boss lady? Did we do that yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi.
Personal experience
here. It's me. And I still am a boss lady, but in a different sense. So that's why we were in opposition almost. He was holding more of the feminine, I was holding more of the masculine. And so when I learned about this, then I went out seeking masculine. And I didn't understand the integration piece. Please, if you remember nothing else, you were looking for healthy integration. You're not looking for just masculine energy. If a man said to me that, which I have heard before, I'm 100% masculine, I have no feminine energy, I'd be like,
red flag.
Bye. Not good. Yeah. Not good. Not good. Not because there's something, because you need healthy integration. So when I swung the pendulum, I went to wounded masculine narcissistic. Quick distinction, NPD is an actual personality disorder, which is what I was dealing with, versus what people say when they say, oh, this person's so narcissistic. It's no, there's actual credentials behind that you have to fall into that category. So I just feel like it's thrown around a lot. Anyway, so I ended up with wounded masculine. So what I've learned and how to discern is the responsibility is me to hold the feminine. That was my work for years, was how do I be at home and shed all of these masculine layers that are making me feel guarded. And that was my own work to do, right? And then when I started dating again, I could very clearly feel, because I've already eliminated the variable of, I know I'm in the feminine. So if I feel that pull toward you and that I'm getting that healthy energy, it's going to feel very different in my body. Your body knows. And when your feminine energy is online, she just feels this natural gravity of like, this person is safe, integrated, empowered, and still has that juicy masculine energy, versus the episode we did on non-threatening, right? This person is non-threatening, but maybe doesn't have as much oomph. And do I want that, Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
How did I discern your body? Your body knows, but you have to first do the work internally to be like, no, I know I hold this pole, and I'm devoted to holding it and cleaning it up over and over again. But I know this is where I mostly stay now.
Yeah, I guess what did answer the question was the integration piece. You realized that the integration is what was missing for you. And I love that you share that experience of like what it feels like for you now. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier of like this bottom layer. We start there, and once we clean some of these wounds up, we can identify, we have enough boundary around ourself, enough healthy sense of self that we can say like, this is actually not me, this is a you thing. And we can walk away when we sense that there's some wounding that they haven't cleaned up or are unwilling to clean up. Then we get to hold the boundary.
And sometimes you don't learn that until you've dated, until you date and you start to learn what wounded feels like and what empowered feels like. But once you learn it in your body, you know it. Courtney and I say this all the time when we're out. We can sense wounded feminine, masculine, empowered feminine. I'm telling you, put us in a room, we'd be like, I know who's in which place here. You can feel it.
Yes. And this isn't a judgment thing, really. We were talking about earlier, like it's not to judge where you are, it's to understand so that you can either do the work to clean it up or you can identify like, hey, this is no longer satisfying, and what might be happening is that polarity has died. You're no longer committed to your pole that you were holding before, and now we are kind of drifting apart, but not in the right direction. Now I'm leaning more in the masculine role, and you're leaning more into your feminine. I'm taking a lot more care of your feelings. And this is natural. When women aren't aware of it, it's very natural for us to want to nurture, which is, again, a very masculine energy. And we have been trained to think that that's what good girlfriends do. That's what good wives do. And it puts us into this emotional space of being the leader, the masculine energy leader of the nurturance, and neglecting our own needs. So that creates its own dynamic. So what we have to do is to kind of parse that out and commit to, like you were saying, commit to, I am the feminine energy partner, and I am committed to maintaining my feminine energy, which means I'm the one holding my boundaries to support my emotional needs being met, to stay tuned in to how my body feels, to listen to and respond to the feedback that my body is giving, so that I can stay soft and sensitive. That's actually a really powerful skill of the feminine energy. That's the gift of the feminine energy, is the sensitivity to what's happening and responding accordingly.
I love that you said that, and it is so common. I'm sure it comes up with your clients, comes up with mine as well, that they'll enter a relationship where he was leading and pursuing and initiating at first, and then time progressed, and she starts to lean in more without getting into too much complicated dynamics. But usually what can often happen for women is they feel like, oh, I want more of his time, love, energy, attention, so I'm going to lean in and do more for him. And then she starts doing more, whether it's housework, cooking, planning the dates, the emotional labor of women, right? We've all heard this term before. And starts to take on more of the masculine energy. And this is playing out subconsciously, usually. He starts to lean back more into his feminine. And then a year later, they're like, he was leading, he was doing all these things, what happened? And so both people get to, re-examine and look at it and go, how do we want this dynamic to play out? Because usually, at least for the women I work with, they're not feeling their most authentically expressed self when that's happening.
What would you say is the first, piece of the relationship to die off that lets you know, as the outsider looking in,
that polarity shifted?
The polarity has shifted, yeah.
Resentment.
Can you give an example? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think resentment is the biggest relationship killer.
Yeah, so she'll be feeling resentful. He'll probably be feeling resentful too.
Could be.
If we had to really get clear on it. Yeah. I would say another one is probably like the physical attraction starts to fade too. Because when you're resentful, your body as the feminine energy is going to be hardened and
closed.
Calloused.
Yeah.
Yeah, and closed. It's not going to be this warm, open, Marilyn Monroe, lots of sexual energy flowing. There's just not. And he's going to be like, what happened? Yeah. And we hear this all the time from men, how she just stopped receiving my advances, and she'll say, I'm doing all of the work in the kitchen now, and I don't have time for anything else. And so that's what happens when polarity breaks down. It's not fun.
Yeah, the attraction is they kind of play at the same time, right? Because you start to resent, and then as the resentment builds, you have less attraction beyond just energies, even like an emotional level, right? It's very hard to be physically intimate when there's resentment building. So this is a really nuanced, in-depth. This is why Courtney and I work with people long term. I know you work with couples. I work with my couples as well. My female clients usually bring their partners. Because there's so many layers, and all of you are probably hearing this, having your own internal dialogue about, like, do I hold the feminine pole? Have I been doing too much work? How do I shift this, right? Yeah. Just try not to beat up on yourself. And also, what the dynamic that works for you and your partner, if it's working for you, is perfect. So don't let us introduce doubt if you're feeling great.
Yeah.
That's great. But if you want more chemistry, polarity, magnetism, you can play with this. This is like an if you already have a healthy partnership and then you become aware of polarity, oh my gosh, how much fun to play with that. How much fun to learn to lean back, to be playful, to be flirty, to be emotional, to be sensitive, expressive, reveal your heart, speak your needs. Like, you could catapult your relationship. Yes. And if you're noticing your polarity is flipped, people all the time flip it back.
100%.
This is not a lost cause.
No.
It's just, again, both of you having a conversation and recommitting to how you want to feel in the relationship, and then how can we support each other in creating space for both of us to feel how we're seeking to feel.
I love that. Yeah. And I would also add that the point of us having this conversation is to bring awareness that if it has flipped, you get to flip it back.
Yes.
And that is possible. It's not possible without awareness, but now you know, and you can be like, let's flip this back around and start letting the natural attraction keep building over time. That will naturally happen.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to leave the dynamic. Sometimes you do, but I wouldn't say this is the reason why you need to leave.
No, this is a very fixable thing.
100%.
Kind of like communication. It's a very fixable skill set. So,
yeah, and if your polarity is flipped and it feels authentic to you, again, it's not about sex or gender. So let's just say that a man is more feminine, the woman's more masculine, and that feels authentic and natural to both of you. That's great. You don't need to the woman doesn't need to be in the feminine, the man doesn't need to be in the masculine. If both people feel like this works perfect for me, this is my most authentic expression, then awesome. Yeah. Anything else around polarity that you feel like is important for them to know?
I would say, I think the distinction that we made of there's an integrated version of polarity versus the kind of like attraction psychology version of polarity. And when you play in that integrated version, you really do, it's like indefinite. You get to keep growing and keep deepening the intimacy. It's like this new plane that you're playing on. The deeper that you dive into your emotional intimacy, the stronger that you get to build this connection together, the higher it gets to go, the more longevity you have. It's just like always unfolding. There's like a new piece of my partner that I'm finding, or there's a new piece that I'm revealing over time when you focus on creating healthy polarity versus pulling on someone's wounds. That's never going to last very long. It's just going to crumble. So I think we've explained kind of the ask on both sides to figure out what it is for you that feels authentic and commit to it. Have the conversation. Have the boundary of, hey, this is what I want to experience in a relationship. Is this working for you? If not, what do we need to do? And if that work isn't possible, then you would have the conversation of finding a different relationship. But there's a lot to be done in the meantime. And we both help couples repolarize that.
Yeah.
Or women who find themselves more in their masculine energy or are finding the feminine energy needing to be like revealed. That is our area of expertise. Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
Nothing I love doing more than helping a woman shed the masculine outer shell from trauma and disappointment and all these things, and like really see her get back in her body, her sexual essence, her pleasure, her intuition, her sensitivity. It is a whole coming home process. It's
beautiful. Yes.
It's so much fun. Yeah. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think my like frame of it is to heal how we see the masculine, the way that we naturally show up to polarity is very much determined on the relationship we have with masculine energy at large. All of those historical stories that we have tied into that, they're tied into our body too. I love that we both do somatic work so that it's like permanent. I mean, it really is. Like when you are healing on a somatic level, that becomes the new set point. That becomes the new baseline. You don't have to keep recycling all of your like stories and trauma. It really does get to leave, and you get to show up as a new person and keep building from there. Like, okay, new layer, keep building instead of keep digging into. It's a game changer.
Yeah, 100%. And that's how it permanently shifts is what you're saying, right? Yeah. Because energy and trauma lives in the body. Yep. And the old model, my background is in psychology. So when I was getting my degree, it was all about the mind. Everything was change how you think, change your subconscious, change this. And it wasn't until I got years into coaching, mentorship programs, further certifications and education that I chugging that seltzer at
the very end.
It wasn't until I got further into coaching and had years of experience with clients that I saw the value of somatic work, because when you release the energy from the body, how you think naturally changes, because this energy isn't clogging your field anymore. So you have deeper clarity of thought and you can lead from authenticity. You know, like when you're trying to get rid of something and someone's telling you, ooh, perfect example. You're going through a breakup. By the way, we should do an episode on breakups.
Okay, writing it down.
Let's say you're going through a breakup and your friends are telling you, like, you're going to find better. It's fine. You know, it's time to move on. He didn't treat you well, whatever it might be. In your head, you're going, I get what they're saying, but I don't believe it. I hear them. I know I should think that way, but it's not landing. The reason it's not landing is because you have to go process all that pain somatically so it's released from your body, and then it will sink in from head to body. It's so vital to your progress in just healing, regardless of masculine, feminine, healing anything. It lives in the body. So we have to set the body free, and then the way you think, believe, behave changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the natural downstream effect. Yeah, it's change. Amazing.
Cool. Crushed it. Boom. Okay, Courtney, the people want to know where they can find you and work with you.
Yeah.
Where do we send them?
Yep. I am at CourtneyShand.com, SCHAND. I'm also at Courtney_Shand on Instagram and Courtney Shand on Facebook and TikTok. All of it's the same. You can come find me. If you do find me on Facebook, just send me a message. Let me know so that I know you're a real person, and I will add you immediately. Yeah, that is amazing. I love doing this work. Like Bree said, I've got a whole program. I've got
We're
2
obsessed.
programs about it. We love it. So if this is something that's resonating with you and you're wondering how to create it, find one of our programs. We might do a bundle deal for this.
We're
really,
percolating.
yeah, we're coming up with something that would be perfect for this specific thing. So.
What a dream to take on clients together.
I know. Or join the monthly coaching call.
Yeah.
Boom. Problem solved.
$99, 90 minutes, group.
What about you? What do you have for people who are really resonating with this?
If you're loving this, if you are the ambitious woman wanting to let down that masculine shield and really come home to your body, your pleasure, your sensitivity, attract and healthy love, and if you have a business that you want to scale, I'm also very good at that.
Very good.
Or just career goals. But if that speaks to you, that's the woman I work with, the woman who's already working toward opening her heart to love, who's sees the value of working with a mentor in it and wants to do it faster. So you can reach out to me for one-to-one. They're 5-month containers. I'm re-enrolling right now. So
nice.
That would be perfect. buildingbree.com or buildingbree at Instagram, buildingbree on the talk, all the things.
Yep. I'll put them on the show notes.
If you love the show, please share it. If you love our TikTok, please comment and tell us you love it. We love your comments. And join our newsletter. We have a newsletter sign up.
Both.
You can join our newsletter.
It's set up for you to sign up.
Link in the show notes. We're going to give you exclusive Courtney and Bree for the Love of Men content that is going to be juicy. All right. We love you, and we will see you next week.